ping-pong table was carried in. "Unscrew its legs and take them away," Mr. Tibbs whispered. This was done. "Now place the ping-pong table on top of the four grandfather clocks," Mr. Tibbs whispered. To manage this, the footman had to stand on stepladders. Mr. Tibbs stood back to survey the new furniture. "None of it is in the classic style," he whispered, "but it will have to do." He gave orders that the mask tablecloth should be draped over the ping-pong table, and in the end it looked really quite elegant after all. At this point, Mr. Tibbs was seen to hesitate. The footmen all stared at him, aghast. Aghast. Butlers never hesitate, not even when they are faced with the most impossible problems. It is their job to be totally decisive at all times. Knives and forks and spoons. Mr. Tibbs was heard to mutter out, cutlery will be like little pins in his hands. But Mr. Tibbs didn't hesitate for long. "Tell the head gardener," he whispered, "that I require immediately a brand new unused garden fork and also a spade. And for a knife we shall use the great sword hanging on a wall in the morning room, but clean the sword well first. It was last used to cut off the head of King Charles the First, and there may still be a little dried blood on the blade." When all this had been accomplished, Mr. Tibbs stood near the centre of the ballroom, casting his expert butler's eye over the scene. Had he forgotten anything? He certainly had. "What about a coffee cup for the large gentleman? Fetch me," he whispered, "the biggest jug you can find in a kitchen. A splendid 1-gallon porcelain water jug was brought in and then placed on a giant table beside the garden fork and the garden spade and the great sword. So much for the giant." Mr. Tibbs would then had the footman move a small, delicate table and his 2 chairs alongside the giant's table. This was for the Queen and for Sophie. The fact that the giant's table and chair towered far above the smaller table simply could not be helped. All these arrangements were only just completed when the Queen, now fully dressed in a trim skirt and cashmere cardigan, entered the ballroom, holding Sophie by the hand. A pretty blue dress that had once belonged to one of the princesses had been found for Sophie and to make her look prettier still. The Queen had picked up a superb sperry bridge from her dressing table and had pinned it on the left side of Sophie's chest. The big friendly giant followed behind them, but he had an awful job getting through the door.